all about that Jewish life at Ithaca College. So I'm going to say, without further ado, this idea was conceptualized by the great Carly Fruchtman, who is one of our current interns, and she came up with this even before BBYO. So I'm going to pass it over to Carly because this is really her brainchild. Carly?
Hi everybody, my name's Carly. I'm from Long Island, specifically Plainview, and I'm a television radio major here at Ithaca. I'm also a peer engagement intern here at Hillel, and before we start, I just wanted to say hi, and I wanted to share information that if anybody has a question, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, write them down. And if there's any questions you have during the PowerPoint that you ever feel uncomfortable sharing out loud, or that you want to, you want somebody else to read out loud if you're uncomfortable reading questions out loud, you can message them to myself or any of the interns or Lauren, our director, and we could say them out loud, so in case you're uncomfortable. So what you're looking at right now is a list of a bunch of our student leaders who most are all here today. And then next we're going to watch a video, 1-minute video that the tour guides made from Ithaca College to show you a little bit around campus.
Hey, welcome to Ithaca College. We only have a minute to take a tour. Let's go.
That was the world's fastest tour. One more time.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Hey, welcome to Ithaca College. We only have a minute to take a tour. Let's go.
So that was a quick tour, and we wanted to highlight that we have a very walkable campus. It's not too big and it's not too small, but now we're going to go into detail of how Ithaca is great and how there's so much stuff to look through a Jewish lens. So I'm going to pass the slideshow over to Lauren.
Thank you so much, Carly. So Ithaca is Jewish. That is the title of this presentation, and a play on the Ithaca is Gorges slogan. And I just want to call your attention to some of the beautiful photographs in the slideshow that show Muller Chapel, which is where our Hillel is located. This is an interfaith chapel. We share our space with a multitude of other groups, religious communities, also spiritual groups, and other clubs that come in and out of this gorgeous sanctuary on our pond. Our school estimates there's about 1,000 Jewish students on campus, and we're really proud to say that we engage over 700 of them over the course of the year, and over 150 of them more than 6 times during the year. So what that translates to is actually a really dynamic and vibrant Jewish life on our campus. We have a small staff. It is myself as the director. We have a Springboard Fellow, Austin Reed, right now, and we're going to have a new young professional in that role next year. And Cantor Abby Lyons, who is our Jewish chaplain. And we're joined in the chapel by the director of the Office of Religious and Spiritual Life, Yerold Osorto. You want to go forward? I'm going to pass this over to Moore, who is going to talk a little bit about one of the earliest ways you can get involved in Jewish life at IC.
Thank you, Lauren. Hi, I'm Moore, and I'm an integrated marketing communications major. I'm a sophomore, and I'm also an intern at Hillel. I'm also from Long Island, Plainview specifically. Prior to arriving on campus my freshman year, I registered for an early move-in program called Fresh Fest. It's a program that's led by upperclassmen Jewish students. At home, as an Israeli, I always wanted to stay very connected to Israel and Jewish life. So I wanted to be connected to my roots and my culture when coming into college as well. Throughout the program, we got to explore the Ithaca Commons campus and even hike a local gorge called Buttermilk Falls. Through Fresh Fest, we also got to experience Campus Shabbat for the first time, and other fun activities. This year, Fresh Fest is going to be going on from August 16th to August 18th. It's a great way to meet new people. Even I personally was nervous to first come on campus without really knowing anyone and joining this program. But it was a great way to meet new people and get to know people prior to like starting school with everyone else, and even just like having people to go to lunch with. And here are some pictures from Fresh Fest in previous years.
Thank you so much, Moore. So Moore mentioned gorges, and now Jessica Hauser is going to talk a little bit more about what a gorge is.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. So you've already heard us say it, but the term Ithaca is gorges. We're not kidding that there's a lot of waterfalls and gorges in the area of Ithaca and surrounding towns. So there's over 150 waterfalls within 10 miles of campus. And throughout my, oh, by the way, I'm a graduating senior. I'm a television radio major. So throughout my time at Ithaca, I've been lucky to explore a lot of different gorges. Some of them are walkable from campus, like the one that we walked to at Fresh Fest, which I did as a freshman and came back as a leader for many years, which was a really great experience. Other great gorges in the area is Buttermilk Falls, Treeman, and Ithaca Falls. With my parents, I've gone to Ithaca Falls almost every year when I come to move in. So in the top right corner, you'll see me with my mom, and we've taken pictures of those falls every year, and it's a really special part of Ithaca. And if you like the outdoors, then there's a lot of beautiful waterfalls, and Hillel has had a lot of events that involve the outdoors. We've had Shabbat services that are hiking related, and it's definitely a large element at this school.
Thank you so much, Jess. Yes, gorges are inevitably a huge part of your life if you come to Ithaca College. And another huge part of your life is going to be the dorm where you live. So we have the perfect person to speak to that. It is Max. Max, will you tell us a little bit about dorms and housing?
Of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Max Powers. I am the treasurer for Hillel, and I also serve as the president of Emerson Gardens. There are a few things that are important to know about housing. Is that freshmen have the choice of live in both the two towers, East and West Tower, along with the quads. Unfortunately, no freshman dorms have air conditioning, but honestly don't need it after a certain amount of time. We have great RAs there in each floor from both towers and quads. They're great to talk to and great to get to know, and they can help you as much as possible. You'll all have an ID, which you'll be able to get into your room, get into your floor or building. And then also, Ithaca College offers Shabbat accommodations. So we have our Shabbat key, which you'll be given a physical key directly to the basement of your building, which will allow you not to use your ID, and you'll be able to just access the dorm like that. And I currently use this feature as well. You can also apply for a second mini fridge just to use for kosher food. And also we have a kosher, kosher dining and terraces, which can be put on the list for Shabbat, and being able to use it for both Friday and Saturday night without needing to swipe your pass. So then you can just worry without not carrying things and just be whatever you want to do.
Thank you so much, Max. And we know that there's probably a lot of questions around housing. So we promise at the end we'll leave plenty of time for you to ask either our student leaders, well, definitely our student leaders. I don't really know anything about housing, but you'll be given time to ask if you have any questions about dorms. So now I'm going to kick it over to Michael, who's going to talk about the Welcome Back barbecue.
That's me?
What's up?
Boy. Oh boy. Hi everybody, my name is Michael. I am also a graduating senior. I'm also from Long Island. There's a bunch of us. So the Welcome Back barbecue is actually really one of my favorite events. It's right at the start of the year. It's within the first couple of weeks of school. So me and my friends always come to the barbecue because there's yummy food, there's great company. It's really one of the first big congregations of Jewish life on campus, which is really, really nice. And the weather's usually pretty awesome. And it's good, 80 degrees still. And there's bounce houses and just, the food, the bounce houses. There's a live band. There's a live student band that plays, I think, throughout the entire time, usually. And one of the coolest parts about the Welcome Back barbecue is not only do you get to meet all the people there who are Jewish, because that's where they go for the barbecue, but there's a lot of Jewish clubs that come to advertise to the students to come and join. So there's a lot of Jewish clubs that if you are interested in joining, that you don't have to wait for the organization fair to happen. You can go to the Welcome Back barbecue. If you want to really focus your time on Jewish organizations, you can go there and they'll be there. So they're, the clubs that are included are formal and informal Jewish clubs. And if you have questions about that, you could ask at the end, obviously, like we said before. Please write down your questions. It's a really, really great time. There's henna tattoos. There's other little kid tattoos that are really fun. There's photo booths. It's really a great time to hang out with your friends and meet new friends. And it's just a really, really, really great vibe. And as a graduating senior, I will miss it. So maybe I'll come back and visit, who knows. And I will now pass it to Tali to talk about it.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, my name is Tali Abraham. I am a junior sociology major. I am vice president of religious life on the board and also a frequent reform service leader. So here at IC Hillel, we have Shabbat services every week at 6 p.m. in the beautiful Muller Chapel. We switch off between reform and conservative services each week. And at the end of services, we wrap up with challah and kiddush together. And then at 7, we join together to have a delicious Shabbat dinner. We've had all sorts of good food like taco bar and latkes. And of course, a classic roasted chicken and potatoes. And then after dinner, we often hang out late into the night playing board games and hanging out and just catching each other up on our weeks.
Thank you, Tali. And if anybody here is interested in experiencing a virtual version of our Shabbat services, now you can do that. So every Friday night at 6 on Zoom, if you follow us on Facebook, you can hop on our link and actually experience services right away. And this week, our service is being led by Luis Valderrama, and it's a conservative service. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Jewish calendar. All holidays while school is in session are celebrated with Hillel. Most of our events happen in Muller Chapel. Most of our religious events happen in Muller Chapel, except of course Passover Seder, where we have hundreds and hundreds of students. And for that, we go up to kosher dining terraces, dining hall. Austin, if you would, oh wait, I'm on a different, yes. So this is a little sampling of our schedule for the high holidays. We also build a sukkah out on the lawn in front of Muller Chapel. And we try and not only have our services, but we have social events and educational events surrounding each holiday as well. So students can enter into the experience of the Jewish calendar through participation in a multitude of ways. So say, a service is not for you or for your child, we hope that maybe they'll join us for baking Hamantaschen, or for a Purim drag show, or for sushi in the sukkah, which draws a huge crowd. Maybe because of the sushi, maybe because of the sukkah, who knows? So Austin, if you would move us forward. Max is going to talk for one moment about one of our big beginning of the year events, which is the Rosh Hashanah banquet.
So our Rosh Hashanah banquet is a great experience where everyone dresses up for one night, and we basically celebrate Rosh Hashanah in a traditional way with a lot of Jewish students. Last year we had approximately over 130 people there, and we just have a great time, and it's right after services. It's a great way to spend your night there.
Thank you, Max. We touched a little bit on the beginning of the calendar year. As fall comes around, we enter into the other calendar year, which is the student calendar. And I think Carly is going to talk for a moment about tailgating.
So even though we're a D3 school, we still have a lot of sports and activities of getting like into sports. So every year we have a rivalry football game with SUNY Cortland called Cortica. And last year was actually at MetLife Stadium, so it was really cool. Everybody came down to New Jersey and we got to go to MetLife and have the game. It was so much fun. And lots of alumni came. Hillel hosted a tailgate. And even though tailgating season is technically one day for us, other sports have tons of opportunities to get involved. So if you're thinking about Ithaca and you're buying a lot of Ithaca clothes, I definitely recommend picking out a cute sweatshirt for Cortica because it's cold. And there's also other sports opportunities besides Cortica. If you wanted to play a club sport, if you wanted to play intramurals, if you want to go watch a sport, there's definitely opportunities to be athletic and to stay involved in campus.
Thank you, Carly. So next we are gonna have Abby London talk about Birthright.
Hi, I'm Abby London. I'm from Marshtown, New Jersey, and I'm currently a sophomore IMC major, which stands for Integrated Marketing Communications, and I'm concentrating in design, also minoring in still photography and sports studies. But with all of that, I was able to go to Birthright with Ithaca College, and Birthright with Ithaca College is a 10-day free trip to Israel with the amazing Hillel community. It is offered in the winter and is also offered in the summer, depending on what climate you'd like to experience in Israel. I preferred not a hot climate, that's why I went in the winter. I always knew that I wanted to experience Birthright, but I didn't know how or where, and I wanted to go to Israel, and I didn't know the group of people, and I thought, why don't I go with Hillel? I know the Jewish community there, I know some people, and I'm so happy that I did that, because not only did I have a community with Hillel before I went, but now I have an even bigger one that once I came back from Israel. And going to Israel, I was able to experience the lovely culture and beautiful landscapes that it had to offer. And because of it, I have now changed what I want to do, and I want to go study in Israel for a longer amount of time in my future. I also got to practice the Hebrew that I've been learning at Ithaca itself, so you can take Hebrew and Jewish life cultures with Merit, who's an amazing professor. And yeah, Birthright was one of my absolute favorite experiences. And because of that, like I said, I got to meet a whole bunch of people and make a great bundle of friends. And I'm actually going to pass it to my friend Kyle, who I met on Birthright, and now we're great friends.
Hello, I'm Kyle Friedman, and I'm a first year at Ithaca College. I'm a cinema major from California. And I'm going to talk about the Jewish Learning Fellowship, which I think is a really great program that you should all sign up for. It's a 10-week program. You meet for an hour a week on Thursdays during the lunch hour. The group brings free food from restaurants around Ithaca, so you get to try all these new great foods like from Ithaca. You get to learn about Judaism, and then you get paid when you're done with the program. I think it's a really great program. I took it when I started at Ithaca to meet the community. And then from then I went to Birthright, and then I worked up to the leadership, which I thought was really great. And it's a great introduction to the Hillel family. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. That's wonderful. Sales of JLF, which the food from around Ithaca kind of sells itself. Max, will you talk for a sec about Swipe Out Hunger?
Of course. Swipe Out Hunger is a program that was started on this campus by an alumni from Hillel. And basically this program is where we collect our guest swipes from students to help students who need meals, and we just distribute them out through the college, and people can be able to get food whenever they need.
Thanks, Max. So each year, our paid Swipe Out Hunger intern collects over 1,000 of those guest meal pass swipes, and then the Student Financial Services can reallocate them to somebody with food insecurity on our campus, and it's one of our major SEDEC opportunities. And I was wondering if Joes, could you speak for a second about our Tu B'Shvat succulent planting?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, everyone. My name is Josie Berman. I'm the president of Hillel this year, and I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So the Tu B'Shvat succulent planting event is one of my favorites that we do all year. So we all meet in the Natural Sciences building in their greenhouse, and we plant cacti and different plants, and then students are able to take them home back to their dorms or apartments. And it's really nice, not even like just planting and like being with friends and talking about Tu B'Shvat, but then also being able to take your plant back to your dorm and spruce it up a little bit. It kind of just makes life on campus a little bit nicer. So it's definitely one of my favorite events. And then there's always snacks, of course, because it's a Hillel event. So
thanks, Josie. And that's a picture of Michael Kaplan there getting his haircut at the Shoshana Rudnick Inchathon. Michael, you got your haircut. Can you tell us for 1 second, like, what that entails?
So first I'll say that was my last haircut since this past weekend where my bald father attempted to. That's why I'm wearing a hat. So the Shoshana Rudnick Inchathon is a really great event where you can come with, I believe, 10 inches of hair, Lauren, that you can cut off to donate?
Yeah.
So if you have up to 10 inches of hair, you can come and chop off those 10 inches of hair and donate it. No, I didn't have 10 inches of hair, but you can still come and pay the fee of a haircut, which I believe was $5, $10, right? $10.
10, yeah.
$10, and that goes also to charity. And one of the other things that we do that is also another fundraiser is we did this 3-on-3 basketball tournament. If you would like me to talk about that now, yes, too?
Sure, yeah, that would be great.
Sure. This 3-on-3 basketball tournament where we did, Lauren, so that was I think 2.5 years ago. And so I'm in AEPI, which is actually an off-campus fraternity. So AEPI is also a Jewish organization. We are a Jewish fraternity. We accept everybody, but we are a Jewish fraternity. So we held this 3-on-3 basketball tournament. And in conjunction with the tournament, we also were doing swabbing with for bone marrow research. So that's also something that we do at the Shoshana Rudnick Inchathon. So you can come and you can swipe, you can swab for bone marrow research, and you can put yourself in the bone marrow registry, and you're in there for life. And it's really, really simple. It's a very, very great deed. So in conjunction with doing these great fundraisers, we're also doing, this bone marrow registry collection, which is really, really a great opportunity for everybody to put themselves in there, and if anything, save a life later on down the line. So we really do some great fundraising and some great charity work too.
Thanks, Michael. So also pictured there were like our annual apple picking program, Havdalah on Ice, where we go ice skating, a birthright reunion boat cruise. And really, as I alluded to earlier, as such a small organization, professional staff-wise, we really rely on our students to tell us what they're looking for. So these are just some student-driven programs. Students want to get out into nature. They want to enjoy the winter sports and the beautiful upstate New York traditions around us. So that's where these programs are coming from. They're coming from our student leaders, like those who are on the call tonight. And no matter how fun they are, like a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, Hillel always tries to infuse Jewish meaning or frame things through a Jewish lens. So there is no such thing as a Hillel program that is just, fun or just snacks. There's always a little kernel that each student leaves with that helps them along their Jewish journey. Thank you, you guys, for jumping in and talking about those things that a little unexpectedly. Okay, Austin, yeah. So additional Jewish life at IC, and I've gotten a couple private chats, and I want to say we'll also open this up for more questions at the end that might address some of these things. But these are some local and also campus-wide other resources for Jewish life at IC. The Jewish Studies Department, Mirit's Hebrew classes, Chabad at IC, Safi, which is the Student Alliance for Israel, Challah for Hunger, which is kind of a part of Hillel, but also has its own organization. We have multiple religious communities that exist here in town that you can avail yourself of. Conservative Reform temples. We also have Orthodox Minyan at Cornell, local humanist group, and of course kosher dining at IC, which really is a community in and of itself, and is absolutely delicious. Thanks, Austin. Who am I sending this to? Okay. We also wanted to highlight a few resources that Ithaca College offers that we work really closely in collaboration with, like the LGBTQ Center, the Center for Ideas, which is the Center for Multicultural Programs and Affinity Groups. Office of Religious and Spiritual Life is actually where Hillel is housed in Muller Chapel. Student Accessibility Services, which is everyone should be in touch with, and hopefully you can take tours of all these things. And CAPS, which is for our taking care of our mental health. So I asked student leaders to change their names to their first name and what their major is in their little box. So if you have your computer, you can scroll through and you can see, for instance, Talia is a sociology major, Jess is TVR, Michael is film, Max is occupational therapy. And what Austin has on the screen right now are just some of the highly populated majors that we have here on campus. But of course, there is no major that you can go wrong with. And we wanted to say, if you see a student leader with the major that you're interested in their box, then you can feel free to private chat them, or you can feel free to ask them a question afterwards, or chat me. And I really appreciate these questions coming through the chat box. I promise I'll answer them at the end too. Okay, so Austin, if you wouldn't mind going forward, I'm going to give it back to Carly and start reading these chat messages, and then I'll be right with y'all.
So the thing about Ithaca that's really great is that the town of Ithaca is amazing too. Like, we're so lucky to have a great campus community and have Cornell right next door, but we all come together with the Ithaca community for for different types of activities. Like the Main Street, I guess, of Ithaca, I would say is definitely the Commons. It's a bunch of shops, but most are mom and pop shops. They're great, and they house events on on the strip of all the different things. Like, there's Apple Fest, which is right around Rosh Hashanah. It's great. You go with your friends in a cute outfit and you eat apple flavored different types of foods. There's also Ice Fest, which is towards the winter, so you gotta wear a jacket over your cute outfit and you go look at all the ice sculptures. It's really fun. And there's so many other events like Chili Fest, which I don't really like chili, but I know people that do love it. And it's really popular. A lot of parents like to come up during these events in Ithaca because they're just so great and they're really fun. So the next slide is pictures of a few of us from College Decision Day, which hopefully you guys on the call will be in the same types of shirts as us, the Ithaca ones. And they're really cute. And so now we want to open up the platform for you guys to ask questions.
Thank you so much. Carly, once again, thank you for this amazing presentation. You really were a visionary leader here. I'm going to just start us out because I've had a couple similar questions, so I'm going to just kind of group them together from the group chat. And two folks asked about Orthodox Jewish life at IC. We have a small Orthodox community, about 5 to 7 students currently. And then we are also joined by a Chabad that in a lot of ways serves our Orthodox students' religious life practice. So the observant students oftentimes join Rabbi Josh and Rebbetzin Andy over at their house for the Chabad services. We join together beforehand, and many students come through and travel either from Hillel to Chabad or from Chabad to Hillel, and there's a lot of flow between the spaces. That is also facilitated by kosher dining at IC. And kosher dining at IC is overseen by Rabbi Eli, who is the leader of Chabad at Cornell. There is a daily Orthodox minyan that a few students go to, but it is all the way over at Cornell. And in the winter, Ithaca is gorgeous, but it is also very cold. So in the winter, Shabbat tends to happen for folks who are observant within the IC proper community. So students are walking over to Chabad from either campus or from their homes. Is the Chabad house close to Ithaca College? Yes, it is. What, a 10-minute walk? Not even.
Not a far walk.
Yeah.
And it's a nice walk too, kind of scenic.
And then to answer the second part of this question, is there a partnership with Cornell? So there is, of course, during the winter, Shabbat comes very early here, sundown is 4 something at times. So students sometimes walk over to Cornell to spend Shabbat in the Center for Jewish Living. But there's not a tremendous amount of that because in the winter, it's not really a place that students, want to travel over Shabbos. But that being said, there is a lot of flow for programs and for other opportunities with Cornell. And we should have mentioned Cornell Hillel because we certainly do partner with Cornell Hillel on a multitude of programs throughout the year. They have a Reform conservative, and Orthodox minyan through their Hillel. Is there Shabbat day programming at IC Hillel? You know, we haven't had very much Shabbat day programming, and it's something that ebbs and flows with the student leadership. And if we have a lot of student leaders that are interested in, and student participants that are interested in spearheading those, we welcome them. In the past, we have done a few during the year, but it's not regular. We don't have a Saturday service. Generally, sometimes we do Havdalah, but it's less frequent. Let's see, do any of these student leaders want to speak to anything that I'm missing?
Yeah, I will say for like Saturday morning services, there definitely has been buzz that I've heard about it this year, of people thinking about that and getting interested in it. So it's definitely a possibility going forward.
Okay, anyone? Yeah, absolutely. So the next question here that I see is, how many students come to Shabbat services or attend each Shabbat dinner? Those are two different things. Shabbat services, Tali, do you want to talk about that actually?
Yeah, so more recently, we have been getting anywhere from like 40 to 80, 90 people at our Shabbat service, depending on who's leading, if we bring in the klezmer band, what dinner is. But it's always like full of joy and singing together, and is really feels full and lovely.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it definitely ranges, and in the winter, it is a little bit harder for students to come, but this person specifically said Shabbat dinner, and I will say that there's about 20 people that show up after services for Shabbat dinner. The next question I'm seeing is, how many students are in the Hillel, and do you have a large active member population? Does any of our student leaders want to speak to that? Maybe Josie? Would you take that one?
The how many students are in Hillel, and do we have an active member?
Yeah, I'll say that we have, you know, over 700 students that actively come to our programs during the year, but I'll let you speak to the active students.
Yeah, we definitely have quite a big group of active members. We usually have events every week, and we get around like 20 to 30 students at those. I've been organizing Hillel Hangouts once a month, and we get together and have lunch, and we usually talk about it's themed, so there's something to talk about with the theme. Like we had a Thanksgiving Hillel Hangout where we talked about that, and we did some crafting, and so depending on the event, it could be closer to 100, but on the lower end, I would say it's around like 20 students.
Thanks, Joes. Somebody asked about what the relationship is between Cornell and IC's Hillels. And I'd say that, so of course, you know, I describe our Hillel as a small but mighty Hillel. Cornell's Hillel is much larger, and so they bring in some like behemoth speakers, just ginormous speakers. And so the great thing is we can always avail ourselves of Cornell Hillel's programs for some of those like large scale events that, you know, we don't have the ability to field. We see large groups of students who travel over to Cornell, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump away. And Cornell Hillel always gives us plenty of tickets for all of their major speakers. Shabbat 1000 we went to last year, and other like huge programs that they hold. I will say though that I've heard from numerous students that it's really nice. It's like, you know, what you say about going home. It's really nice to go over to Cornell Hillel, but that they really like the small Hamish community that we have at our Hillel. And I think sometimes going over there and seeing those gigantic programs kind of brings it home for students, like that they actually really like our community and the family that we have. So I think that's all the chat questions that I see. And now we wanted to open it up, and the student leaders are really gonna field most of these questions. I might like call on them, but we wanted to open it up to you all to ask any questions that you might have, and you just take yourself right off chat or right off mute, sorry, and fire away. And just in case nobody has any questions, we do have an FAQ page prepared.
Is anybody committed to Ithaca for the fall, or are most people just doing their virtual tours?
If you're committed, what can you see the reaction button down at the bottom of the screen? You can give like a little thumbs up, and then we can tell if you've already signed up to join Ithaca College in the fall. Oh.
Lauren,
yes.
Would you like me to speak about that?
Speak about.
Are there any Jewish sororities?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I know I'm a guy. So there isn't actually any Greek life at Ithaca College. So there aren't any Jewish sororities. There is a sorority on campus. So let me kind of explain and go into that. So I'm a brother of AE Pi, Alpha Epsilon Pi, which is a Jewish fraternity. We are what they call an underground fraternity, which is very cryptic, but it isn't. So basically what that means is the school doesn't actually recognize us as an organization of Ithaca College. We are a nationally recognized organization. So we are an actual chapter that does pay dues and does participate on campus. So we really do a lot with Ithaca. We help with a bunch of fundraisers. As I said before, the 3-on-3 tournament. We help table the Shoshana Rudnick Inchathon and help with the swabbing for the bone marrow registry. So what I would say to that is, no, there aren't any Jewish sororities, but there is always opportunity to found one if you would like to. We actually, as a brotherhood of AE Pi, have been trying to encourage some Jewish women on campus who had been kind of wanting to and thinking about it to do that, because we think it would be a really, really great opportunity for a lot of the Jewish women on campus and just for Jewish students in general. So if you would be willing to, there's always opportunity to found a Jewish sorority on campus.
Also, to add on to that, so currently there's not a Jewish sorority. However, we do have club sports and D3 athletics. So I was on the swim team, the D3 swim team, for 3 of my years at IC, and we joked around that we were Swimma Kappa goggles. So it was kind of like a sorority because we spent a lot of time together and had events and volunteered and all those good things. So even though we don't have Greek life, there's still a ton of clubs and activities that you can get involved with that feel similar to Greek life.
So Austin just reminded me that this not having Greek life at IC has been the case since the 1990s. So this is not a new thing that, you know, Greek life was shut down at IC. It was a decision made in the 90s, which seems like just yesterday, but was actually quite a while ago now. So we haven't had official Greek life at IC for 30 something years. There are also academic groups that you can join, right? There's academic Greek life, academic fraternities? No?
There are some academic sororities or fraternities that I know of in the music school. It's a group of professional women and some men that help each other since the music industry is really hard to begin with, that help female musicians break into the industry and do a lot of professional development. A lot of the, I guess, sororities that you'll hear about on campus are more about like professional development and being able to get into the industries and a way of networking, just like there's one in the Park School for a film society. So they're also, I don't believe, recognized by Ithaca, but they're some clubs that are more academic based.
Yeah, I'm also in the Park School for IMC. There's Lambda Pi Eta, which is a National Communications Honor Society. I'm in that one. And then there's another one for advertising that I'm in, but I can't think of the name right now.
And going off of what Josie just said, a lot of times in the Park School, I can only really speak to the Park School since I'm a Parkie, that they really encourage you to join different societies and like the National Journalism Society, different things where you're able to network with professionals, like PRSSA, I believe, is like one of the public relations ones. There's ones for photojournalism. There's probably a lot more that I can name, but those are more of the organizations that are advertised on campus.
Thanks, Abby, and Joes for mentioning those. And I think that I'll just speak generally that clubs are a big part of life at Ithaca College. Club participation is really, really high.
I got a quick message about a cappella groups and I answered it just individually, but are any of our student leaders happen to be familiar with anyone in an a cappella group and willing to share about Ithaca's a cappella scene? I understand it's quite vibrant.
I can talk about it.
Go ahead, Moore.
Okay, so there is, most of the a cappella groups are audition based, but there is one that's sign up based, and it's of both a male and female group. It's all inclusive. It's based on who registers first, and it's based on like they started now that you fill out an application and they kind of get back to you, but it's more of like an inclusive scene as opposed to like an audition based group. There are 2 male groups, I believe. No, 1 male group, like premier male group, 1 female group, and then 2 mixed groups actually. And then I know that now they just started a new one that's Broadway based. That's all they do is Broadway music, which is also a mixed one.
And I should say, you know, as we mentioned earlier with Saturday services and any programs that, you know, you're asking about here, we have the ability with students that come in and leadership to co-create Jewish life. There has been talk for years about a Jewish a cappella group. And we have had a Shabbat called Shabbat Capella for a few years where we invite a cappella groups to our Shabbat. It's really wonderful. And we have had a cappella groups in the past, as Austin said, and even a theater troupe in the past. And these things could come again. It is really up to our students and what they want to see happen that year. Our incoming Springboard fellow, as we enter into the new iteration of that fellowship, is an a cappella leader. So there's a great chance that we would have a Jewish a cappella group happen. I've heard him mumble about it a few times. So if you're interested, we can make it happen. Any other questions before I defer to these like kind of greatest hits? If any come up, just feel free to chat. So I think we've said what Hillel does, and I'll let students stay on and talk about why they chose Ithaca at the end. But I want to just speak to anti-Semitism because this is a question that I get all the time with visiting students. And I want to say that knock on wood, we have been incredibly lucky at Ithaca College. Of course, the rise of white nationalism and anti-Semitism is alarming, and it is pervasive, and it is happening all over the country, and we can never say that this will not happen at Ithaca College. Unfortunately, I wish that we could. But we can say that in the past 3 years since I've worked at Ithaca College as the executive director, there's been a few incidents of anti-Semitic graffiti and a swastika drawn over the last three years. But there has not been like a large scale targeted feeling of anti-Semitism pervasive on campus. And I touch base with our student leaders regularly about this, and they report the same. We have never had a BDS motion put forward to our student council, our student government. And of course, that's not to say that it won't happen in the future going forward, but it has not happened yet. So those, I think, speak to the fact that even though we have a very culturally identified Jewish student population, it is a large student population. I mean, 1,000 Jewish students on a campus of 6,500 is actually quite a large Jewish population. And so I think that, you know, part of this is by design, and part of this is because our community has fostered a real sense of valuing our Jewish students, and that is being passed from the highest levels. So we feel very supported by our school's administration and by the campus community at large. That is my brief poke at that question that we get all the time. If anybody has any like further questions about that, I'm happy to talk to you over email. You can email me at hillel@ithaca.edu. And now I just want to say, like, students, you might have questions about like why these students on the call chose Ithaca, or how did you find your roommate? Some of these things that I can't speak to. So student leaders, what do you think is the most, do you want to talk about why you chose Ithaca College for a minute? And I'll let any of you just kind of join up. Speak your mind.
I'll go for it.
If you don't mind, can I go first? Because I have class in 20 minutes.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I have my night class. So I chose Ithaca honestly because like I chose it like the day before May 1st. I'm a very indecisive person, and I had a lot of things to juggle and balance to find the right place, whether that be money, location, feel of the school. When I first visited Ithaca, I was really nervous and really scared because though it was a small campus, I was like, I'm just a high schooler. They can sniff me out. I'm not a college kid. But when I finally took the tour and like looked around myself, I realized how nice everyone was. And for my specific major and interests, I know that the Park School was the best place I could have looked at. I mean, I looked at Syracuse for Newhouse, and I looked at other really big name communication schools, and no one really took the time to speak to me personally about my interests. And I think Ithaca did a really good job of that, of making sure that I got to speak to the deans like the first time I visited. And I also remember speaking to Lauren when I went there for the first time and getting that real connection with people on a face-to-face level. And I think Ithaca is a really good example of medium-ish size school, but having real heart-to-heart connections with the students and making sure that the students are, I don't know, well taken care of in a sense, and putting their best foot forward most of the time. So, I mean, yeah, it is cold. I prefer the cold. So Ithaca is probably like, it is my favorite choice. Like even now I'm like, I don't think I could go anywhere else and be as happy as I am here. So with that said, goodbye. Thank you all for coming. If you have any other questions, I mean, feel free to reach out to me on social media or email me. I mean, I'm happy to talk, but have a nice night, everyone.
Thank you so much, Abby. So really quickly, Michael, before I pass it over to you, a parent asked a question that I think probably a few people have on their mind, which is which is what happens if the possibility of COVID-19 going into the fall and a remote whatever. So just like everybody else, we are on the edge of our seat to find out what is going to happen this semester or this coming semester. We had a all faculty and staff meeting today, actually while our leaders were planning this event, but my husband filled me in. They're talking about 3 different scenarios. One, which everybody's hoping for, is a normal start time. Fresh Fest is, still August 16th through 18th. Everything goes as planned. That's going to be in conjunction with like some very heavy testing, fast turnaround testing of both staff here before anybody would come to campus and students like right when they came to campus, and like a highly regulated COVID testing process. The second, which would also incorporate that, of course, would be an October start. That would entail essentially having the same kind of orientation and everything beforehand, but beginning in October. And the third is a remote semester. And I think this is what the school and most of us are hoping not to happen, but a remote semester. If that were the case, this particular person was asking about what Hillel would do if that were the case. Hillel will move forward the same way that we've done now. I think our student leaders would attest to the fact that we really haven't skipped a beat in terms of the services that we've been providing for students. I don't mean literally like Shabbat services, although that too. We had a Seder a few weeks ago. We have Shabbat every Friday night. Tomorrow night we have a Holocaust speaker. So Hillel continues on just in the weird new virtual space that we all find ourselves in right now. And we will still be just as active. And our interns who are here tonight are actually charged with reaching out to individual students, like potentially you or your children, and texting them and saying, hey, I'm Michael, like, this is what I'm into at IC, like, let's just talk. And then they talk over, what do you talk over? Text, over Zoom, over FaceTime. So they're doing the engagement work that Hillels are charged with doing. We're just doing it in this new space for now, knowing that this will pass and we will be back face-to-face together again on campus. But Hillel will continue on, and we will offer ourselves as a resource just as we always have. And we've really been a leader on campus in a lot of senses since this crisis has emerged. So I just wanted to speak to that. And then Michael, you wanted to talk about why you chose Ithaca.
Sure, yes. Well, I do, yeah. So I chose Ithaca for a lot of the same reasons as said before. So I also think that Ithaca, when I came to visit, well, actually, you know what, I'll be honest. When I came to visit, it was the one. I visited Emerson, I visited NYU, I visited Syracuse, Newhouse. I was not given the same hands-on, personable approach as Ithaca. I have had, well, I'm a graduating senior now, so I've had, I don't know how many, probably like 5 or 6. When I say really close, I mean like really close relationships with my professors, and you know, enough to say that like they're a professional confidant that I could come to with any question about the industry and any question about life decisions in the industry. So I really think that Ithaca was able to meet my needs as being a college that sees what I need and jumps on that and goes, okay, well, let's focus on what does Michael need and how can we get him to where he needs to be. I also love the campus. I really do. It's small, it's walkable. I live in an apartment on campus that is a 5-minute walk from the gym, a 5-minute walk from the actual Park School, so where I take most of my classes, and about 15-minute walk from the farthest point on campus, which is the Dillingham School for the Arts. So I loved the size of it. I came from a private school, so a very small school. So if any of you also came from this small community in high school, then Ithaca is so great for emulating that. Like, yeah, it's 7,000 people in student body, but it makes it able to be personable, right? So if you have like a hands-on approach in high school and like a really close-knit community or whatever, if you went to a smaller private school like I did, Ithaca is so great because I walk down campus and I see at least 10 people that I know on my way to class. And I love that. I love that. Like, I get to see all of my friends and peers every single day throughout the day. And it's really nice. And it puts a smile on your face. Like, oh, like I didn't see this person today. I'll probably see them on the way to whatever this class is. So I really loved that. It really became home. It really, really did. Yes, it is cold, but it's fun. Like, cold is fun. Go sledding, we do, and it's really, really great. And it's just this nice, cozy, close-knit community. Like Lauren, I don't know if I would have had as close of a relationship with Hillel if I didn't go to Ithaca. And just like was said before by Abby, I don't think that I would have been happier anywhere else. NYU was my number one, and then that fell through. Whatever. That fell through, and then I came to Ithaca, and I could not be happier. The Park School has been fantastic to me, and so has Ithaca College as a whole, specifically Hillel. So that's why Ithaca.
Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any other questions, or do you want to hear from one more student? Their why Ithaca story. Austin reminded me, just to speak to what Hillel's been doing virtually, that we've had an average of 2 virtual public programs every week, and small group meetups, like little clusters for just chatting multiple times a week. So we have remained very active, and that's in addition to our weekly services. If there's nobody else, I'm just gonna ask Carly to say why she chose Ithaca, what Hillel has allowed her to do, and then we're going to say goodnight. And we're gonna put I'm gonna put our Hillel email address in the chat, and you guys can feel free to email me, and I can pass it along to students if you'd like. So Carly?
So my dad went to Ithaca, and so I've always grown up knowing things, like little things about how like the town of Ithaca is, and there's a gas station right next to Ithaca, and it has like a little sandwich shop. My dad always talks about how great the sandwiches are. So I've grown up knowing like Rogan sandwiches are great and like Ithaca's awesome. And my dad's college roommate from when he was at Ithaca happens to live around the corner from us. So I've grown up with a lot of people that went to Ithaca, and it's like a big deal. And when I was looking for schools, I studied radio in high school, and I wanted to go into broadcasting. And with Ithaca having the Park School and having 2 radio stations, it was really important for me to find a school that had radio. And I was also really involved in USY in high school, and so I wanted to find a place that had Jewish life where I could do activities just like I did in USY with my high school friends. And I loved Ithaca. I've always loved Ithaca since I was little, and when I toured for the first time, I knew it was the one. And so we just wanted to conclude by thanking everybody for coming. And if you have any more questions, we'll happily answer them. We love Ithaca. We love talking about the place we miss the most. If you have any questions, it doesn't have to be about Hillel. It could be about your dorm. It could be about where we lived freshman year. If you want to just hang out and talk about Ithaca stuff, like we're your go-tos. We'll be happy to speak to you about anything you want. And we hope to see you hopefully in the fall. Hopefully everything will go back to normal, and we can all wear our sweatpants because it's cold in Ithaca. But we have to be real, like sweatpants are so much more comfortable than denim. So like, let's be real, like, yeah, putting on a sweatshirt is so much fuzzier than wearing something that's like than sweating. I'd rather be fuzzy and comfortable than sweating, but that's just me. But we wanted to thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you so much to everybody that helped put the slideshow together. It was definitely a group effort. And everybody have a great night, have a great dinner, and reach out to us with any more questions you have.
Thank you, everyone.